Well, the goal is to be able to retire comfortably when it comes to finances, but one of the most common concerns is, when will I run out of money, or will I run out of money?
Yeah, it's a big question. Richmond-based financial expert J.B. Bryan is here with some important tips that might help you during your retirement years, or at least to plan for your retirement years, because we should all be planning from the time, probably from the first day we go to work.
And I really appreciate this topic because we do spend a lot of time during the year talking about accumulating assets, making more money, investing properly. But this is really more important. If you are a retiree who has accumulated and you have all this money, you get to this point where you realize, how do I spend this? How do I make sure, Bill, I never run out of money? That's a big decision.
And it's a big concern because as you're spending, not that much more is coming in. So you see the numbers going down, and it's a little stressful. So the first point is, like we should all do, make a budget.
Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. Making the budget is something that most people don't do, even though you point out that they should.
I got a question about that, because how do we make a budget? Because we all know we're going to be out of here eventually, but most of us don't know when.
Yes.
So,
Bill, you're right.
So am I going to make it to 80? Am I going to make it to 85? Or
I'm going 90, 95
That's
myself.
right.
Good for you, sweetheart. I ain't going there.
Bill just added in the other concern of how you make sure that you don't run out, because you don't know how long you're going to
so
live.
how do you budget for that?
But you definitely have to at least budget for the things you can control, and most people just don't. So budget for your fixed expenses. Did you know that many retirees have a mortgage, and most of them that do have a mortgage, they're spending like 31% of their income, which the average income is $44,000. They're spending about $18,000 a year. So, and I want your total expenses to be around 35%. So if you can retire without having a mortgage, that's putting you in a really good position. But many people just do not. They don't have it, and they don't have a fixed income, because if you look at historically, pensions have gone down dramatically. They're like cut in half. In the 1970s, Cheryl, people, like 80% of the people working had a pension. Now that's down to less than 40%. So
and eventually there'll be none, I'm sure.
That's right. So if you don't have a lot of guaranteed income, it makes budgeting even more important.
So going in with that budget, and we have that income hopefully from a 401k, a pension, that kind of thing, how much of that should we be spending on an annual basis going into our budget?
Well, good point. I suggest that you stay around 4%. And most experts suggest that you stay around 4%. But I remember, I've been in financial services so long that I remember a time where we were looking at 7.5%. So with $1 million, that was $70,000. Now with $1 million, you should be pulling out about $40,000, because interest rates are so much lower. And we've been through some times that taught us that you could retire and the market go crazy the year or the second year that you're out the door. So we want to make sure that we're pulling out withdrawals that allow us to create income without damaging or pulling down our portfolio dramatically.
So is that 4.5% on top of your Social Security or including your Social Security?
So your Social Security has nothing to do with that. So you've got
that gives us a little bit more.
That's above and beyond your Social Security?
That's right.
Yeah,
so your
so
4% is what I'm suggesting to come out of the money you've been saving during your career.
Okay.
All right. So if we've got a mortgage, then what other debts can we have or should not have, or how's that
None.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a mortgage, right? Because if we're keeping it at around 35% of our income going into interest-bearing expenses, then we only have about 4 or 5% of our income left to pay. So if you have a high interest debt, those are the ones you really want to stay away from. The credit cards, it's frightening to think about how many seniors are in credit card debt. And the credit card interest rates could be 29, 30%. So we need to really be conscious of avoiding high interest rate debts, because they will cost you so much more. And I'm glad we're discussing that now,
we need to be paying down before we retire.
Pay down before you retire, right? If you can't get rid of the mortgage, certainly get rid of the What?
The credit card
cards.
interest.
That's right.
Okay, so we're retired now. We're going to take a trip around the world. We're going to buy a new car. We're going to go visit the
Happens.
grandchildren.
Get the boat.
You know, buy the boat. Or
Happens all the time.
upgrade the boat.
I always wanted to go on that Tom Joyner cruise, you know, and
Yeah.
they just like start doing everything they ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that can be a big mistake. You need to make sure that you avoid putting so much pressure on the beginning of your retirement. And say you have $1 million and you end up spending $100,000 your first year out of retirement.
That's a tenth.
Oh my goodness, immediately, what a hit. So we need to really be conscious of avoiding getting excited on your first year out. And I've noticed that when I'm not working, you do tend to spend money. You go, oh, let's go to the mall, let's go shopping, let's go do these things. When you're working, you're not thinking about shopping all the time. And even though once you retire, your expenses should be going down, you should have, but that doesn't happen if you add in a lot of luxury.
You got to have a reason to get up in the morning.
Right.
So maybe a job.
Yeah, maybe a part-time job.
Part-time
That's
job.
number 5.
Yes, if you find that you do have these high interest rate debts, definitely look into the part-time job. It can also help you delay starting your Social Security at 62. If you have a part-time job, you could wait until 65, 66, even 70 and get a bigger Social Security check. But most people don't do that.
Once you hit your retirement age, that money that you're earning part-time or even full-time does not impact your Social Security.
That's right. Once you hit full retirement age.
age.
For most
And that's different
people
for most
watching now
people.
at 66. That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. Thank you,
That's right.
JB.
It's changing.
5 good points.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, JB offers free money seminars and webinars each week. We'll put a link to more information on our website. Just go to WTVR.com/VTM, and we will be right back.